The train stops abruptly. There is an announcement on all carriages about arrival in Shanghai, and also so that passengers do not forget their belongings. The man in the front row was still sitting in his seat. The flight attendant assumed that the man had fallen asleep. Approaching closer, she personally notifies the man of his arrival in Shanghai. The guy turns his attention to the flight attendant and apologizes for the wait. The guy slowly gets up and collects his things. As he passes by, he thanks the flight attendant with a smile. Going out into the street, the guy notices that he hasn't been in Shanghai for 3 years. Having reached the escalator and going up, the guy was very surprised that so much had changed in such a short time. At that time, an attractive girl was walking down past the guy. Noluan tried not to worry about everything, but the girl caught his attention. Analyzing the girl's appearance, the guy noticed that she was very beautiful. He sincerely hoped that the girl was not a professional killer. At that moment, an unknown man was slowly approaching from behind the girl. The man quietly takes out a utility knife and extends the blade. With a slight movement of the hand and completely unnoticed, the unknown person cuts a hole in the girl's bag and takes the phone. The not indifferent Noluan notices this and immediately goes after the robber. Having caught up with the man, the guy holds him by the shoulder. He demands to give the girl's phone immediately. Noluan looks at the man with a serious face, making him slightly nervous. Gritting his teeth, the robber asks where this guy came from, warning him not to meddle in his affairs, because he would be in trouble. Noluan squeezes the man's shoulder with a smirk, causing him to writhe in pain. The robber suddenly takes out a utility knife and tries to hit the guy with a sharp blow. He repeatedly warns him not to interfere. Without further ado, Noluan approaches the man and catches his hand with a utility knife. The guy wrings his hand, causing the man to not hold the knife. The robber is writhing in pain. Noluan once again clarifies whether the robber wants to continue their fight. The man, gritting his teeth, declares that he was lucky and he will not forget this. The robber suddenly takes off running. Noluan points out that security in Shanghai is very bad. Holding the girl's wallet, the guy quickly looks around the room in search of the girl. Seeing her walking towards the exit, he calls her over. The girl turns around at the guy's voice. Noluan notifies about the discovery of her wallet. A girl with a serious face asks the guy to extend his hand. Noluan does not understand what the girl is talking about. The guy immediately begins to analyze the proposal to extend his hand. He assumes that the girl wants to text him her number. The girl repeatedly demands that the guy extend his hand. Noluan adds that he doesn't need gratitude, because it's nothing. The guy also frowned, because he didn't understand why the girl was so insistently asking to extend her hand. Seeing no other options, Noluan agrees and decides to extend his hand. Stretching out his hand, he asks the girl what she wants to do with him. The girl silently handcuffs the guy. Not expecting this, Noluan was shocked by this action. He immediately clarifies why the girl did this. Noluan was outraged by this act. The girl introduces herself as a police officer, adding that she was looking for pickpockets and came across one of them right now. Gritting his teeth, Noluan was already beginning to think about how he could restore his good name. Walking after the girl, Noluan tries to explain the situation, because he was not a thief, but just a kind guy who returned the wallet. The girl listens to the guy with a grin. She didn't believe his words. The girl suspects that Noluan is trying to fool her. Not wanting to listen to any more excuses, the girl kicks the guy. Taking out the phone, the girl calls the station and, introducing herself as Tang Yin, calls for reinforcements. The guy grinned at this situation, because the girl did not know that he was an undercover agent. The guy is put into a police car. Noluan could not imagine that he would be arrested as a petty criminal. The car quickly arrives at the local police station, where Noluna is taken out. Having been brought into the interrogation room, the guy is seated on a chair. Noluan wasn't the least bit worried about the situation. The girl, seeing a relaxed guy, decides to find out why he is grinning. The guy emphasizes that the uniform suits Officer Tang more than ordinary clothes. The guy looks at the girl from head to toe. With a smile, he adds that he is embarrassed that the uniform is too small for the girl. Tan embarrassedly states that her form is normal and not small at all, calling the guy a petty bully. Still smirking, Nialong asks Officer Tang not to be angry with him. The guy, not wanting to stop, adds that he just wanted to emphasize the slender shape of the girl in uniform. The girl was unhappy with the compliments from the criminal. Tan asks Noluna to introduce himself. The guy introduces himself as Yi Zifan, the girl also decides to clarify the guy's gender, to which she immediately receives the answer that this is already obvious. Continuing to fill out the form, the girl clarifies the guy's type of activity. With a smile, Naluan replies that he is the boss. Rising from the chair, the girl asks again about her occupation, not believing that the guy could be the boss. Naluan with a serious face declares that he is telling the truth and is the CEO of the Angel Foundation. The girl hits the table, she still doesn't believe a single word the guy says. Tan states that she knows the Angel Foundation and that it was recently founded. After all, in just 3 years the company was able to grow. The guy looked calmly at the girl, but she continued to claim that Naluan could not work in such a gigantic company. Tan demands that the guy start telling the truth. The girl was interested in his relationship with the group at the station, as well as his position. Unperturbed, the guy continues to claim that he is not a pickpocket and does not understand at all what he is talking about. Tan clarifies how the guy can prove that he is not part of a group at the station. The guy states that he has doubts about the girl's sanity. Sitting at the table, the guy takes out his shorts. He is interested. Why did he need to return to the crime scene and return the money? Tan demands that Naluan stop fooling her around. The girl seems like a strange guy, even if he is not a pickpocket. Angry, the girl takes the shorts from the guy's hands and throws them aside. The guy was confused by such actions. Tan was angry with Naluan. It seemed to her that the guy was trying to make her a laughing stock. The guy puts his hands behind his head. He decides to remind the officer that people don't go to jail for suspicion, asking whether the girl is aware. Hitting the table, the girl demands that the guy calm down and give his residential address. Naluan explains that he is staying with his cousin, Tan, deciding that she has found a clue, with a smile asks the guy to give the address. The guy gives the address, Shanghai Longen Garden, which immediately seemed strange to the girl. With a confused face, she also clarifies the name of Naluan's cousin. The guy introduces him as Ouyang Jinyuan. After mentioning his cousin, the girl adds that she believes the guy is innocent and that Naluan is not a pickpocket. The guy reminds with a smile that he has already explained that he is not a fraudster, but the girl didn't believe it. Tan, pointing at the guy, explains that although he is not a fraudster, he lied to her, calling himself the CEO of the Angel Foundation. Tang adds that Ouyang doesn't have a cousin, claiming that the guy is trying to continue to mislead her. The guy explains that he told all this the truth and the girl can make inquiries about him. Putting her pen on the table, the girl declares that she is already making inquiries about him. With a grin, she calls her uncle Jinyuan, introducing herself by name. She felt that she had figured out Naluan and therefore, pointing her finger at the guy, she explained that the guy could not continue to pretend like Jinyuan was already on his way to the station. The guy was partly amazed that Tang knew his uncle Jinyuan, but Naluna was fine with this, because after everything he wouldn't have to call a taxi. The girl was wondering how the guy would continue to get out after Jinyuan's arrival. 20 minutes later the man was already at the station. The girl greeted her uncle. The man was also glad to meet him, but he did not understand why he was called so urgently. Pointing his finger at Naluan, he asks the man whether the guy is his cousin. The man was amazed by such a meeting at the police station. The guy calls his cousin. He was no less glad that the man came for him. The man calls the guy his cousin. Approaching Jinyuan, he places his hand on Nalong's shoulder, wondering when the guy arrived and why he didn't warn him. Naluan explains that he was arrested by an officer as soon as he arrived at the station. Taking the guy under the shoulder, the man adds that Tan caught the wrong one, because Naluan is really his cousin. The girl was amazed at this statement. Tan couldn't believe that her uncle had another cousin all this time. The girl was confused, blaming herself for her incompetence. With a smile, Naluan asks to remove the handcuffs from him, hinting that he is, after all, the girl's uncle. Still amazed, Tan asks if Naluan is her uncle. Naluan explains that since the girl calls his cousin uncle, then he automatically becomes her uncle. Out of anger, the girl throws the keys at the guy, adding that he is an arrogant scoundrel inciting her. Naluan manages to dodge. Leaving the station, the man leads Naluan to the car. The guy believes that they were not entirely hospitable to him at the police station. The man invites Naluan to get into his car. Having folded his bag, the guy sits down with the man in the back seat. Jinyuan could not forgive himself for such hospitality. He blamed himself for such a visit to Shanghai. The guy states that he doesn't care, suggesting that they discuss more important things. After all, he was invited by Fat Man Luo to find a man in Shanghai. Naluan wonders if he knows why he needed to come to the city. Jinyuan was amazed that the guy called the general Fatty Luo. He assumed that Naluan was the only one who could afford this. The man suggests discussing this later and first visiting his house. Driver Jinyuan slowly heads towards the man's house. Having passed the barrier at the entrance to Jinyuan's estate, the car stops at the entrance. The guy asks where they arrived. He was somewhat amazed by the scale of the house and the site itself. The man invites the young master not to linger and to follow him. Entering a luxurious house, a man calls his daughter Bo Zhe. The guy continued to inspect the expensive furniture and the house as a whole. The man repeatedly asks if his daughter is at home. A girl showed up on the second floor. Naluan assumes that this is Jinyuan's daughter. The girl slowly descends from the second floor. The guy is amazed by the girl's appearance. Bo smiles and asks if her father has a meeting planned. The man smiles and asks Naluan how his daughter Bo Zhe is doing. The guy rates the girl 8 out of 10. The girl with a serious face wonders who this guy is. Jinyuan introduces the guy as a doctor of science who came back from abroad. Bo invites his father to renew his friendships. Without listening to the girl, the man pushes her to Naluan. He asks her to underestimate his daughter, because she is one of the 10 talented students in the piano class. The guy and girl froze. They silently looked at each other. Jinyuan adds that the couple is scheduled to get married in 2 months. Everyone was amazed at this statement. The girl angrily declares that she does not understand how her father came to this and is trying to pass him off as a stranger. A man with a serious face reminds that the couple has 2 months to get to know each other. Tired of arguing, the girl sits down on the sofa. She declares that in her life she will not marry a stranger. Naluan notes that the girl is much cuter when she's angry. The girl calls the guy a scoundrel, and then throws the pillow. With a grin, the guy adds that even though the girl behaves like a tomboy, Bo still has feminine traits visible. The girl became even more angry, after which she decided to attack the guy. Naluan suggests that Jinyuan's daughter not only takes piano lessons, but also studies martial arts. Swinging her leg, the girl tries to hit the guy. Naluan manages to catch Bo's leg. The girl could not understand why she could not move her leg. The guy lowered his head, after which he throws the girl aside with all his strength. Bo doesn't have time to react and falls onto the sofa. At this time, the guy writes down a greeting to the girl. Unable to admit defeat, the girl repeatedly declares that she will beat the guy up. The man, not wanting to continue watching the fight, manages to grab the girl's fist. He reminds that it is not typical for a decent girl to fight. The upset girl asks why her father is on the side of the unknown guy. Jinyuan reminds that Naluan is now her fiancé and she can't communicate with him like that. Without listening to her father, the girl abruptly runs upstairs, saying that she no longer loves her father. A man runs after a girl. Naluan silently watches what is happening. Having caught up with the girl, the man explains that he had his own reasons for doing this. Pushing his father's hand away, Bo decides to complain to his grandfather. Jinyuan silently watches as the guy sits down at the table in the living room. The man explains that the guy has 25% of the shares of his entire company. He also reminds that the company is doing SOSO. The girl covers her mouth and suggests that her father sold her. Jinyuan explains that this is a temporary measure and he will call off the engagement when the time comes. The girl decides to ask again if her father is telling the truth. Closing his eyes, the man declares that this is the absolute truth and he swears. Through tears, Bo adds that her father needs to hurry because she won't be able to stand this for much longer. The girl closes the door in her father's face. Back in the living room, the man hands over a letter of recommendation from the university. Jinyuan adds that from tomorrow the guy will study together with Bo Zhe to develop mutual relations. Having put out the cigarette, Naluan wonders what the man meant when he announced marriage. Jinyuan explains that this is old man Ye's idea. As he heads out, the man explains that he has a couple of meetings to attend. The guy is left alone in the living room. The whole house was at his disposal. At this moment, in the office, a large man asks where Zifeng is currently. One of the subordinates reports that the guy is currently living with Mr. Yuyang. The man wonders what the guy knows. He doesn't understand what else the guy needs when he has so much money. The man reminds them that all they have to do is follow protocol and obey. One of the subordinates suggests that since the guy is in Shanghai, the situation in the city may worsen. The plump man believes that as long as the guy is in Shanghai, this will not happen. The subordinate recalls the Shanghai massacre of the Dragon Soul team and how after losing 9 people, no one else appeared there. The plump man gets up from the table. He adds that Jin Yuan is an excellent target for identifying all the opportunists. They can only wait. The man wants to identify absolutely all of these people. The subordinate reminds that there is only one guy. A plump man asks him again. He explains that the guy does not fight alone, because the soul of dragons is behind him. One of the agents wonders why his boss decided to marry the guy to the daughter of the Ouyang family. The man explains this by good cover and unhindered access to the Ouyang family's home. At that moment, the boss's phone rang. The man assumes that this is Naluan. The man greets little phone with a smile. The guy calls him Fat Man Lo. He was unhappy with this situation and plans to return right now and blow up the fat man's office. The man explains that this is an order from the old boss, which Naluan listens to. Fong clarifies that his mission is in Shanghai, namely to marry Jinyuan's daughter. The man confirms this. After listening to Fat Man Lo, the guy hangs up and lights a cigarette. Fong notices the open door to Boja's room. Deciding to look inside, the guy observes the girl's underwear. He was surprised that Bo didn't close the door to the room. Walking inside, the guy observes a girl in a towel outside the bathroom door. Unable to restrain himself, Fong heads to the door, assuming that since he is the groom, he has the right to look with impunity. At this moment, a girl comes out of the shower. She was excited by Feng's presence. The guy continued to stare at the girl in the towel. This made Bo scream at the guy. The girl throws a mirror at the guy, adding that no one allowed Fun to enter her room. With a smile, the guy explains that it's just a misunderstanding. Bo, still angry at Feng's action, decides to kick the guy. The guy is trying to stop the girl. The girl kicks the guy on the shoulder, but he manages to move his head away. Without any words, the guy pounces on the girl and takes her by the legs. Fong takes the girl in his arms, which made her even more indignant. Bo continued to call the guy a scoundrel. The guy puts the girl on the bed and quickly heads towards the exit. The girl continued to call him a shameless scoundrel. Walking out the door, Fong says goodnight to Bo. Opening the door for a second, the guy notices that the girl's underwear with Hello Kitty fits, winking. The girl throws a pillow towards the door, but the guy manages to close it. Evening has come and Fong decides to take a shower before going to bed. Waiting for the guy to go into the bathroom, Bo comes into the room and pours scabies powder onto the bed. The girl laughs evilly at what she did. She wanted to teach the guy a lesson. The girl imagined with a smile how the guy would lie down on the bed and she would take a photo of him with something to blackmail. An hour passed, but Fong still did not come out of the shower. The girl began to yawn. She didn't understand why the guy still hadn't crawled to his bed. Trying not to fall asleep, the girl takes her cheeks. She wanted to take this photo. At this time, the guy was still lying carefree in the hot bath. The guy's body was covered with a huge number of scars and bullet wounds. The guy lay and remembered the past time on the battlefield. Remembering those terrible moments and how his comrades died, one of his friends tries to stop the guy, because he was under a hail of shots. The guy noticed that quite a lot of time had passed since those events, but he still could not forget it. Fong notices some movement outside the door. The guy slowly leaves the bathroom. Seeing that it was already dawn outside the window and he had been lying in the bath all this time, the guy puts on his clothes and decides to check who is behind the door. Opening the door wide, the girl falls straight into Feng's arms. Bo immediately wakes up. She was embarrassed to be so close to the guy. The girl was scared at the same time. She asked to be released immediately. With a grin, Fong calls the girl his little wife. He was interested in why the girl was spying on him all night. The girl blushed deeply. She stated that she did not peek, but was just sleepwalking at night. The guy says that sleepwalking can be cured and she should take care of it. Pushing the guy away, Bo replies that he shouldn't think about it. The girl runs out of the guy's room in embarrassment. Bo was thinking about how she could get Fong out the door. The guy noticed with a smile that the girl was very sweet when she was angry. On the street it was already quite clear why the guy decided to take a walk. Walking down the street, the guy tried to find a quiet place to train. Having reached a small lake, Fun was satisfied with this place, where he decided to settle. While warming up, the guy decides to remember martial arts. When training kicks, the guy pays attention to the movement behind his back. Turning around, the guy observes an elderly man watching him. Coming closer, the man notices that Fun has wonderful military equipment. The guy, rubbing the back of his head, explains that he was specifically looking for a secluded place where he would not be noticed. The elderly man adds that he sees nothing wrong with training. The man decides to invite the guy to spar with him. The guy didn't know how to respond to this proposal. The man adds with a smile that he shouldn't have even suggested such stupidity. Feng explains that it is not a matter of desire, but of his inexperience, so the guy does not want to disappoint the man. The man still decides to do some light sparring. Standing in a stance and exchanging several techniques, Feng notices that the man is a martial artist. The man performs another technique and hits Feng's hand. Feng adds that the man is quite a skilled craftsman. The man also notices that the guy is quite strong. He becomes curious about Feng's identity. The sun rose high enough, illuminating the entire clearing where the sparring took place. Feng decides to somehow end this situation, not wanting to show his true strength. Therefore, the guy misses one of the man's next blows. Feng notices that he is not good enough, that's why he missed the shot. Feng thanks him for the sparring, calling the man a mentor. The man turns to Feng with a smile. He notes that he noticed how the guy deliberately lost this sparring. I couldn't think of anything to say. Feng grins at the man. At this moment, Tan comes to the lake and asks the man to hurry, because the whole family is already at the table and is only waiting for him. Feng remembers the girl, noting that the world is quite small. The girl also notices the guy. The man silently grins to the side. After waving to Tan, the guy tries to say hello to the girl. Tang screams and tries to understand what Feng has forgotten in their area. Looking to the side, the guy jokingly asks whether he is breaking any law. This angers the girl even more, so he decides to leave. After picking up her grandfather, she takes him back home. A man wonders if his granddaughter knows a guy. Tan silently waves it away. Turning around, the man suggests another sparring session the next day. Feng waves at the man with a smile. The girl continues to escort the man to the house. Tan thinks it strange that the guy is in their area. After all, Ouyang took Feng away from the station. Frightened, the girl realizes that her uncle has placed the guy in Ouyang's villa. Gritting her teeth, the girl decides not to let the guy offend Bourgeois. The man still decides to clarify who the guy is. A girl calls a guy a liar who made her angry at work. The man adds that Feng is still a relative of Frenyuan. The girl explains that she herself does not fully understand everything, because she was completely unable to gather information about the guy's life. It was as if someone had wiped everything he did beforehand. The man says with a grin that this is quite interesting. The girl wonders what her grandfather meant by the word interesting. The man asks not to pay attention, adding that most likely some people will have problems. The man calls Feng a good ally who will help solve many of the problems of the Ouyang family. It was already midday outside. Feng had finished his walk and was heading home. Arriving at the mansion, the guy slowly heads into the house. Having decided to prepare breakfast, the guy heads to the kitchen. Upon entering, Feng observes Boja sitting at the table. The guy greets the girl with a smile, calling her his little wife. Bo looks at the guy in surprise. The girl asks the guy to cook his own breakfast. With a grin, the guy explains that dry bread and cold milk is not a nutritious breakfast. Looking into the refrigerator, the guy observes a large amount of food. Feng wonders why the girl didn't prepare herself a normal breakfast. Bo replies that it's none of the guy's business. Not wanting to be near Feng, the girl goes to the room to watch TV. Bo silently sits down on the couch and turns on the TV. The guy looks at the girl with a smile, then turns around and starts preparing breakfast. The girl continues to watch TV without paying attention to what is happening in the kitchen. Feeling the smell, the girl cannot resist and looks at the kitchen. She notices that it smells quite tasty. The guy finishes fussing around in the kitchen and puts delicious noodles on the table. Feng invites the girl to try his dishes with a smile. The girl, unable to restrain herself, slowly approaches the plate of noodles. He swallows hard from the smell. Remembering who is in front of him, Bo stops dreaming and turns away from the guy. With folded hands, the girl believes that she will not fall for such tricks with a plate of lashka. With a grin, the guy lifts the noodles, reminding them how delicious they are. The girl blushes and thinks that it's just noodles and she's not particularly interested in something like that. Feng decides to end the argument by hinting that if the girl does not want to eat, then he will taste both portions himself. Bo understands that the guy is deliberately teasing her, noting that this is pure provocation. At this moment, the girl's stomach suddenly begins to growl. Continuing to eat the noodles, the guy asks Bo not to torture himself and still try the noodles. because they will soon get cold. In her thoughts, the girl believes that she will eat the noodles out of spite, so that she will have the strength to continue to fight Feng. Taking the chopsticks and lifting the noodles, the girl again feels the aroma of cooked noodles. The girl was very embarrassed by such delicious noodles. Bo couldn't believe that the guy could cook such delicious noodles. After beating herself on the cheeks, the girl tries to wake up, because it seems to her that these are just hallucinations. Feng decides to find out if the girl liked his noodles. Not wanting to praise the guy, the girl calls the noodles normal for a rural dish. Having finished all the noodles, the girl felt great. The guy smirked imperceptibly at this. Remembering who exactly prepared the noodles, the girl gets up from her chair and reminds her that she won't fall for just noodles. After all, such a trifle wouldn't stop her from kicking him out of the house. The guy comes closer and tries to find out what exactly Bo doesn't like about him. The guy gets closer to the girl's face. He decides to find out if she liked the noodles or if they weren't tasty enough. The girl, blushing too much, thinks that the guy's noodles were too spicy. Bo suddenly grabs a glass of water from the table. The girl drinks a glass of water in one gulp, which Feng was not happy about. The guy notices that the girl drinks from his glass. Bo abruptly spits out the water. Throwing a glass at the guy, Bo abruptly leaves the kitchen, slamming the door behind him. Taking his chin, Feng assumes that this is an indirect kiss. The girl goes to the garage to get the car. Feng decides to ask Bo to wait for him. The girl is very infuriated by Feng's presence, so she does not react to the guy's requests. The girl quickly gets into the car and buckles up. The guy manages to run to the car. Feng opens it and reminds her that the girl shouldn't walk so abruptly, because indigestion might happen. Pointing her finger at Feng, the girl demands that the guy stop calling her wifey. With a grin, the guy asks the girl to calm down and stop blending in like that. The girl asks Feng to leave the car, because she is late for a couple. The guy explains that he also needs a partner, because they are now studying at the same college. The girl, not believing this, demands that the guy get out or she will call the police. Feng recalls that it was Bo's father who enrolled him in courses at the Shanghai Academy of Arts. The girl couldn't believe her ears. The guy adds that they should hurry up, because they might be a couple late. Gritting her teeth, the girl calls the guy a freak. Feng's mere presence infuriated her. Out of anger, the girl sharply presses the gas and changes gear. Feng was shocked by this. A girl rushes along the highway at high speed, heading towards the city. The guy, holding the handrail, reminds them that they are within the city limits, and not on a racetrack. The girl was not interested in this. She invites the guy to come out. With a grin, the guy reminds that he was a regular guest at illegal races. The girl stops abruptly and demands that Feng get out of the car. The guy looks around and asks again, because they were heading to the university. The girl explains that the guy should walk 100 meters and turn left. The guy asks if his wife will go with him. The girl repeatedly demands that he get out. With a grin, the guy gets out of the car, putting his hands in his pockets. The guy agrees. The girl asks Feng to stop. The guy notices that the girl is already lonely without him. The girl asks not to tell anyone about the situation they are in now. Holding the back of his head, the guy agrees with the girl. With a grin, the guy asks if he is entitled to a reward for obedience. The girl, holding something behind her back, asks about the reward. Moving closer to the guy, Bo punches the guy in the stomach with all his might. She clarifies whether it was suitable for a reward. The guy curls up from this, imitating pain. At this moment, he senses danger and immediately reacts. The guy grabs the girl and throws himself on the floor, covering Bo with his body. Several bullets hit the car's side window. An attacker with a pistol looks out from a passing blue jeep. The unknown person completely covered his face. The girl screams in fear, clinging to the guy. The guy decides to kiss the girl on the lips. The girl closes her eyes and kisses the guy back. The unknown people, seeing no other way out, immediately try to escape. The girl pressed her whole body against the guy. This suited Feng anyway. The girl looked at the guy confused. Bo screams and asks if the guy is looking for death. The guy explains that he did it to save Bo Zhe. Showing a finger up, the guy suggests repeating it one more time. Out of anger, the girl pushes the guy aside. Having come to her senses, the girl gets back behind the wheel. She was still embarrassed by Feng's action. With embarrassment, the girl notices that the guy is actually not so useless. The guy, grinning, silently continued to walk towards the university. Crossing the road, the guy found this whole event strange. Feng understood that the unknown target was actually Ouyang Bouzhou. The guy gradually began to understand what the purpose of his arrival in Shanghai was. The guy was considering his college application. Feng wondered what other surprises Bouzhou would bring. While reading the document, the guy continues to walk down the street. Feng looks around. He suggests that he should go to Rector Yang to register his admission. Arriving at the Shanghai Academy of Art, the guy thinks that the building looks more like some kind of cathedral than an educational institution. With his hands in his pockets, the guy silently walks past the crowd and heads into the building. Approaching the rector's door, Feng assumes that his office is behind this door. Feng decides to knock on the door before entering. Strange sounds are heard outside the door. A woman's voice called the rector delightful, which greatly shocked Feng. The guy stood outside the door for a while, but still decided to enter. Opening the doors, Feng greets the rector with the goal of asking one question. A girl in the rector's office notices the door opening. The girl and the rector were frightened by the presence of the guy. The rector gets up from the sofa and demands that Feng explain himself, specifying which group he is from. Picking his ear, the guy explains that he just came about this. The rector, slightly angry, asks the student to come out and knock again. With a grin, the guy turns around and heads towards the exit. Walking out the door, the guy closes it behind him. A few seconds later the guy knocks again and the rector allows him to enter. The rector and an embarrassed girl stood at the table in a suit. The man immediately clarifies the purpose of Feng's visit. The girl fearfully heads towards the exit. The guy puts in an application and explains that he came to enroll in their university. The man explains that it's not September anymore and all deadlines for submitting documents have long passed. Feng still looked at the rector with a smile. The rector orders the guy to leave his office. The guy introduces himself as Yi Zifan, and also reminds that these are recommendations from Ouyang. The man was scared by this. He asks again, specifically from Ouyang Jinyuan. The man runs up to the guy and explains that he is aware of the guy's arrival and should not worry. The rector immediately began to fuss and decided to offer a tour of the university, as well as take him to the desired audience. With his hands in his pockets, the guy heads for the exit. Feng thanks Rector Yang for such hospitality. The man leads the guy down the corridor. Feng follows calmly. The man is very worried about what happened. The guy looks away and explains that he doesn't remember anything like that. The man rejoiced, adding that Feng would go far. Slowly the rector leads the guy to the rehearsal room. The man knocks several times, wanting to enter the office. The guy and the rector go into the office. A girl was sitting at the piano. She turned her head to the rector and looked questioningly at him. The rector asks Feng Lan to come over for a minute to talk. The girl slowly approaches the man and clarifies what he wanted. The rector explains that the guy's name is Fun and he is starting to study piano. The man introduces Fenya, a girl, as his first-year piano teacher. The rector says goodbye, wanting to return to his work. He trusts Fun, Lan's teacher. Fun takes his hand out of his pocket and greets his new teacher. The girl silently turns around and asks not to detain anyone. Feng, not understanding the girl, continued to stand. Sitting down at the piano, the girl asks Fenyu to take his place. The entire auditorium was filled with a large number of students. Bouzhou was in the middle row. The girl tried to hide behind her textbook so that the guy wouldn't notice. Feng quickly looked around the hall and saw where Bouzhou was sitting. After going up a few steps, the guy slowly sits down next to the girl. The girl was even more outraged by Fen's presence. The guy threw his hands behind his head and lay down at his desk. The entire audience was surprised that the newcomer sat next to Goddess Ouyang. Everyone was talking quietly about this. The girl grins and decides to teach Fen a lesson. The teacher, sitting at the piano, asks the entire audience to calm down, because they are continuing the educational process. The pair ended and the bell rang. The entire group slowly began to stand up and gather themselves. Bo gets up from her desk and asks everyone to wait, because she was planning to make an announcement. The girl deliberately steps on Fen's foot with her heel, causing him to also stand up. The girl hugs the guy and calls him her fiancé. The entire audience did not believe what they heard. Everyone suddenly began to discuss such a sensation. One of Bo's classmates demands the others to notify others about Bo's engagement. Feng decides in a whisper to clarify whether Bo wanted to hide the relationship. With her hands folded, the girl announces that she has decided to change her mind. The guy hugs the girl and says that he is very happy. The girl with a grin suggests that the guy will soon have a dark one, expecting a catch. The guy also understands that everything is not easy. Voices are heard in the courtyard near the university. One of the guys tells the other that he attacked the wrong guy. A guy with a black belt trains martial arts. One of the subordinates runs into the hall and announces that he has bad news. There was a taekwondo club in one of the university buildings. One of the subordinates runs into the hall and announces that he has bad news. The guy turns around and looks at his subordinate with a fist. Having cooled down after sparring, the guy is interested in what happened and what we are talking about. The subordinate approaches the boss and begins to whisper something in his ear. The guy looked angrily, asking if he was sure of his words. The subordinate was a little scared. He explained that Boja herself announced this to the whole audience. The guy invites his club president to figure it out themselves, take a few guys and teach the upstart a lesson, because Foam doesn't have the courage to fight them off. The club president was very outraged by what was happening. The guy still decides to add that he doesn't need help, because Boja has been playing such games since childhood. The subordinate still asks you to think about your decision, because they don't tend to let everything go and watch. The president believes that they should not do anything because of small things. The president puts his hand on the guy's shoulder and offers to look at the free circus from the outside. The guy agrees to stay back and watch Jin Juming deal with him. With his hands folded, the president nods in approval. One of the buildings of the Shanghai University of Arts, baseball club. Several students inform Ming about the engagement announcement, citing such a serious insult to the master. All club members declare that they cannot stand aside and watch what is happening, adding that the basketball club will be laughed at. One of the guys extends his hand. He explains that the young master just has to nod in his direction and they will deal with him right away. Min silently ponders the current situation. With a grin, the guy adds that those should not be careful. The guy declares that he is doing anything thinking exactly in the spirit of Fong Lan, because Ming despises such a board. One of the club members clarifies what their plan is in the end. A guy asks two guys to bring him the keys to his car. Min orders them to go and bring him a bouquet from there. The guy decides to confess his feelings so that Foam will have to leave there. All the club members were delighted with such a wonderful plan from Ming. The guy adds with a grin that he doesn't really believe what's happening. The guy couldn't believe that there were people who weren't afraid of power and money. Everyone returns for the next class to piano class. At this moment, Foam was lying on the table due to fatigue. It was difficult for him from all this. Foam notices some noise. One of the guys confesses his love to Boja, offering to become his girlfriend. The noise came from a speaker opposite the board. It was Jin Juming. He offered to take care of Bo for the rest of his life. All the girls were crazy about Jin's confession. Foam does not react to such a statement. Bo looks at the guy silently. The girl believed that she could send Foam far and for a long time. The pair ended and all the students slowly began to leave the piano class. At the entrance there was a huge crowd of people and two luxurious cars, blue and red. Boja slowly leaves the classroom and watches all this. The crowd stood near the carpet and watched Boja come out. Everyone was delighted with the beauty of the girl. Foam walked next to the girl, but few people were interested in this. Everyone admired the girl. The entire crowd shouted that Ouyang had finally left the classroom and was heading towards Ming. In his thoughts, Foam was not very happy about this, because someone dared to steal his wife without permission. The couple slowly approached Ming's beautiful red car. Coming closer, the couple stops opposite the guy. Ming calmly leaned on his brand new sports car. The entire baseball team stood behind the guy in uniform. All the girls in the crowd were beside themselves with such beauty. Many people noticed the beauty of Master Ming, especially that, how beautiful his car is, and also the roses. One of the guys in the crowd thought it was all window dressing, believing that both candidates were untalented. The second guy notices that Ming finally confessed and that's why the guy next to Ouyang will now suffer. Ming looks at Ouyang with a smile and then slowly walks towards her. Foam was disgusted to watch this, because he believed that old-fashioned tackles would no longer work. Min comes closer and kneels with his head bowed. The guy slowly takes out a small red box and holds it out to the girl. Inside the box was an expensive ring. All those watching were amazed at this development of events. Min makes his speech and offers to marry him, because they were born for each other. The girl was not happy with this turn of events, because she only wanted the students to deal with Foam. The girl did not know how to respond to Min's words. Fong stood silently nearby and watched what was happening. In his thoughts, Ming noticed that Fong could not compare with him, because he had a luxury car and a diamond ring. Without further ado, the guy extends his hand to Bo Zhe, after which he slowly grabs the girl by the waist and presses her to him. The guy explains with a smile that his wife is already engaged and therefore Min should behave more appropriately. Ming clenched his teeth in anger, he was outraged by Feng's presence. The guy starts shouting with questions about who Feng really is to her. With a smile, the girl explains that Feng is her fiancé. The guy couldn't believe what he heard. He noticed that Feng looked bad and in general the guy didn't dare call himself a groom. With a grin, Feng asks what exactly is wrong with him, calling Ming a gigolo. One of Ming's group shouted indignantly, whom Feng called a gigolo, demanding that the guy take his hands off the beautiful Bo Zhe. The other members of the baseball club were also angry and slowly approached Feng. The baseball club completely surrounds Feng and Bo Zhe. The girl noted to herself that at the moment Feng would have problems. She grinned as the baseball team came closer and closer. The girl was wondering how the guy would deal with all this. Feng silently smiled at everyone and then took the girl's hand. Feng slowly approached the girl's face. Then he kissed her right on the lips. Bo Zhe was amazed at this act. All the guys in the crowd were surprised by what the new guy Fen did. Feng continues to kiss the girl for a long time. Bo Zhe looked at the guy confused, she blushed at this action. After finishing, Feng continued to hug the girl. Feng adds that Ming was too lenient, since today Feng not only hugged his wife, but also kissed him in front of everyone. Feng gently holds Bo Zhe's waist to show his closeness to her. Feng assures that from now on Ouyang Bo is his fiancée and now Ming is better off not approaching her. The girl blushes and looks at Ming's reaction. Min notes with a grin that the guy is quite brave. He hasn't seen anyone like him at the university for a long time. One of Ming's subordinates swings a bat at Fun, saying that he wants to test how strong he is physically. Min, with a serious face, demands that the members of his club move away. All club members were at a loss as to why their head was demanding that they leave. Ming repeatedly demands that they move away from Feng. The guy folds his hands and explains that he is quite reasonable, but not everyone is capable of becoming a shield like him. He added with a smirk that Feng could get caught in the crossfire very quickly. Feng clarifies what exactly the guy is trying to say with this. Ming slowly opens one of the checks and writes down a round amount. The guy slowly hands the check to Feng. The guy demands that Feng leave China for 2 million and never appear before his eyes again. Feng slowly takes the check and looks at it. With a grin, Feng states that 2 million is quite a large amount. Bo Zhe notes that she didn't expect the guy to be so disgusted. Mina was surprised that the guy talked so much and was ready to leave because of money. Feng slowly takes out a pack of cigarettes and a lighter from his pocket. Feng slowly sets fire to the check, showing his disrespect towards Ming. Feng takes out one cigarette and lights it with the check. Everyone present was amazed by Feng's action, including Bo Zhe. Feng throws the rest of the check onto the floor, which slowly turns to ash. The guy looks at Ming's reaction, waiting for the next step. A guy in the crowd was amazed that Feng had just lighted a check for 2 million. Many did not understand who exactly Feng was, but they noticed that he was quite pretentious and cool. Ming still couldn't believe Feng's action, this destroyed him mentally. Ming angrily asks Feng what exactly he was trying to say with his action. Feng exhales cigarette smoke directly into the guy's face. With a grin, Feng adds that he just wanted to remind Master Ming that 2 million is a lot, but not everything in the world can be bought. Feng looks into Ming's eyes with a serious look. Bo Zhe smiled, she did not expect that Feng could be so courageous. Ming asks if Feng wants to refuse the kind gesture. Throwing his hands behind his head, Feng was of little interest. Ming states that he will remember Feng's name and hopes that all this confidence will remain until he arrives. Min and his club slowly leave the courtyard. Gritting his teeth, Min decides not to say anything more. Feng looks after the guy. Feng asks the baseball club to slow down, noting that a 2 million cigarette is no different from a regular cigarette. Feng looks at the baseball club leaving. Feng looks at Bo Zhe. The guy calls the girl over. The guy asks if the girl liked his performance. Feng adds that he thinks it's too good to be true. The girl, not wanting to admit defeat, adds that she didn't see it and considers it quite terrible. Feng comes closer and takes the girl by the waist. Bo is amazed that the guy approaches her so easily. The guy asks to reward him with a kiss for such a performance. Feng counts that this will be good motivation for the future. The girl, unable to bear it, demands that the guy finally leave her alone. The guy did not expect such a sharp response to his proposal. Unable to resist, the guy asks for a second kiss from Bo Zhe. The guy offers to kiss the girl again. Bo, not knowing what to answer, remains silent. She was too embarrassed. The guy kisses the girl on the lips for the second time. The girl silently lowered her eyes. She was furious and confused by such actions. Feng, rubbing the back of his head, adds that he still has work to do and so he should run. While running away, the guy believes that he will come late in the evening, so she should not wait for him. The guy tries to stop a passing taxi with his hand. The car stops next to the guy. Feng asks him to take him to the Falling Snow nightclub. Feng looks out the window with a rather evil smile. Having reached the club, the guy gets out of the taxi and heads into the building. The club had a fun atmosphere. The whole crowd was on the dance floor and relaxing. Having entered the room, Feng sits on the free sofa and examines the visitors. Taking one of the cocktails, Feng continued to track down the person he needed. With a smile, the guy noted that nothing had changed in his absence. A woman's hand took a glass of wine from the table. The guy kept noticing that nothing had changed at the club in 3 years. Feng wondered if that girl had changed after so many years. A female voice sounded behind the guy. The girl decided to turn to Feng. The girl was wondering if the guy drinks alone or if he already has company. Feng explains that he came to this establishment to enjoy this beauty alone. The guy thanks for the offered company. With her hands folded, the girl calls the guy boring and then leaves in denial. This didn't bother Feng one bit and he didn't even look after the girl. Near the stage, the girls began to scream loudly, waiting for someone. The light is slowly brought onto the stage, which is what Feng himself was waiting for. The guy smiles and rejoices that it's time for Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. The guy gets up from the table. With a smile, the guy notices that after 3 years the girl still loves this song. The girl went on stage and started playing the piano. The whole crowd paid attention to the girl. She applauded the girl's performance. Feng was amazed that this particular girl was still playing at the club. The girl continued to play the piano. The crowd slowly gathered around the stage to hear this play. Immersed in the song, the girl played like never before, which is what attracted the public. The music was good, it went through the whole hall. Everyone applauded the girl in unison. The guy notices that this is his teacher, who works at the club at night. With a smile, Feng calls his teacher a completely different person. Having finished, the girl gets up from the piano and goes out in front of the audience. Having bowed before the audience, everyone began to applaud and support the girl with compliments. A small group of people approached the girl and noticed her pretty music. The girl was a little wary of the presence of strange fans. The large man decides to start a conversation. He explains that he didn't even finish primary school. Holding 2 glasses of champagne, the man adds that he still admires Miss Lan. The man continues to praise the girl, calling her an artist with temperament and elegance. The man adds that he expresses his admiration for Miss Lan, so he is ready to drink to her. With a grin, the man invites the girl to drink with him as well. The people in the hall understood that something not very good was about to happen. Miss Lan decides to remain silent, so she silently looks at the man. Lost in thought, the girl shrugs it off and refuses to drink, because she doesn't drink at all. Another man approaches the girl from behind. He explains that they are drinking to her face and she should not refuse such an offer. The guy slowly puts his hand on the girl's shoulder. Unwilling to tolerate this, Miss Lan immediately pushes the man's hand away. The girl explains that she will call security if the man continues. The man swings at Miss Lan out of anger. The large man catches the hand of his subordinate and asks him to calm down. The man asks if this is how he treats the artist. He was not satisfied with the rudeness of his subordinate. The man apologizes for this incident, noting that his subordinates are slightly uncontrollable. The man adds that he is still a famous person and it would be disrespectful to ignore his offer of a drink. The man holds out the glass of champagne again. Mill Lan suggests that it is just alcohol and nothing more. With trembling hands the girl tries to take the glass. The man bares his teeth looking at the girl. He is amused by this whole situation. The girl wanted someone to help her, because she understood that she should not drink this alcohol. Feng abruptly takes the glass from the man's hands. The guy examines it and throws it to the floor, rather contentedly. Feng states that this alcohol is too bad to offer to a girl. The glass was broken and all its contents spilled onto the floor. Miss Lan was amazed by this action. The man was greatly alarmed by this, because some guy crossed his path. Taking the bottle in his hand, Fong offers to sit down and drink with him. Fong puts his hand on the man's shoulder, trying to call him over. The man turns his head irritably towards Fong. The guy looked at the man with a malicious smile. In his right hand he held that very bottle. Fong looks at the man with a smile, waiting for his next step. The man turns around asking who Fong is. The man states that no one dared to stand next to him, naming Fong the first to do this. The man swings at the guy with the words that he will teach him to behave more modestly. The guy begins to squeeze the large man's shoulder, not wanting to repeat it again. Fong squeezed harder and harder, which was quite painful for him. The man even trembled slightly in pain. Fan adds that he should leave the club. With these words, the guy raises the bowl over his head, which he did not expect at all, after which he threw it to the side with all his might. Having flown across the entire hall, the man lands near the bar counter. Glasses of alcohol and other things began to fall on the man, but few people were interested in this. Miss Lon was amazed by this outcome of events. All the subordinate men were no less amazed at this outcome, because everyone saw it for the first time. People in black suits suddenly began to enter the deputy's office. They asked to be let through. The man standing in front wonders who made the noise in their nightclub. Fong notices that it is when the problem is solved that the same security comes. The guard wonders if Fun Li started this whole mess. Picking his ears, the guy assumes that he started it. The man asks if they have problems with hospitality in their establishment. Fong answers quite seriously that, in fact, everything suits him. The man, not knowing what to say, smiles in response. With a grin, the man declares that since the guy is happy with the service, he is deliberately creating problems in the club. Having shown a gesture, the man calls his subordinate. He demands that he explain to the guy about the rules of the club. Fong silently looks at the huge guard, allowing him to take the first step. With folded hands, the man explains that those who did not know the rules of their club or deliberately create problems should be punished. One of the workers brings a small tray. A guard holds a tray as he awaits Feng's sentencing. The huge guard ends his speech by saying that the offender must pay with his own hand. There is a meat-cutting knife on the tray. All the guards look sternly at the guy, awaiting the verdict. The main guard offers to do this to the guy himself, but also provides help from other guards. Miss Lon tries to stop the head. The girl slowly approaches the crowd to explain everything. The girl explains that Fong was trying to help her and there was a slight misunderstanding. The man explains that the rules are the same and they still cannot be broken, based on the rules of the establishment. The man adds that otherwise he will not be able to explain the whole situation to Miss C. The girl asks to wait for the head of the security, because Lon is able to call Miss She herself and find out her permission. Not wanting to continue listening, the man clicks to end the call. The man adds that the rules set by Miss C are strict for everyone and they cannot be changed even by Miss C herself. A man calls two subordinates with a knife to him. The man notices that Fong does not want to do this on his own, so they will cooperate and help him. Fong comes closer and examines the man's face. It seems to him that he is new to the establishment, but the guy seems familiar with his face. The man confirms that he is the new boss, but this does not affect the outcome in any way and the guy will still end up in the hospital. Picking his teeth, the guy adds that he really doesn't care about it. The man begins to be enraged by his indifference to the current situation. The head of security announces that today he will show what will happen to those who create problems for the club and break the rules. The biggest guard rolls up his sleeves. The head of the security orders the others not to let the guy leave. The man notices that the Falling Snow Club is not a place where you can do whatever you want. The guy listens to the man without any emotion. Fong had little interest in what was happening. The girl, unable to stand aside, runs up to the guy. Having covered Fong with her body, the girl demands that he leave immediately. The guy was worried about what would happen to Teacher Mo if he really left. The girl adds that she knows Miss C and will not be touched in any way. The head of the security is holding a sharp knife in his hands. The man explains that the girl should move away from the intruder, because it is disrespectful and could affect whether Miss Lon gets out unharmed. The head of the security looks at the girl with a fierce look. Although Miss Lon was scared, she did not dare to move away and abandon her student. Having covered Fong with her body, she continued to cover him with her body. The guy thanks him for your concern with a smile and asks the girl to leave. Fong turns to the head of the security with a proposal to contact him immediately, and not to the defenseless girl. The man was amused by this and laughed. The man orders the others to start passing judgment and not stand by. One of the guards asks you to choose one of the guy's hands, as is customary to ask them. Fong suggests first trying to cut off one of them, because it won't work. A large security guard attacks the guy with a knife. Unable to watch what is happening, Miss Lon covers her face. The man was amazed that Fong was able to stop his precise strike. Fong held the knife with his bare hands. The man was scared, calling the guy a monster. Not wanting to stand by, the second guard pounces from behind. The man manages to grab the guy's right hand. Without any effort, Fong throws the guard aside, from which he falls unconscious. Returning to the first guard, the guy continued to look him straight in the eyes. Fong breaks the knife in half with a flick of his hand. The man could not believe what was happening. It was all as strange as possible. Without allowing the guard to come to his senses, Fong kicks the large guard in the stomach. The guy states that he finds it hard to believe that such people would be able to cut off his hand. The head of the security notices that Fong is from a practicing family and now it is clear to him why the guy is so self-confident. Fong invites the head to do everything himself and just shoot him with a pistol. The man slowly pulls out a gun from behind his back. The man was happy with this decision. Stretching out his hand with a pistol, the man with a grin declares that the easiest way for him is to just shoot the guy. The man says goodbye to Fong before shooting. The rest of the guards were already burying Fong, because their leader had a pistol in his hands. The guy grins at the action of the head of security. Fong tosses the clip of his pistol, adding that he says goodbye, noting that the man suggested telling him this early enough. The man couldn't believe what was happening because he didn't let Fong get close. Without allowing the man to come to his senses, Fong quickly attacks the head of the security. Fong punches the man in the stomach with all his might, causing him to be thrown back. The man is nailed to the post by such force, causing it to even bend slightly. Following him, we fly past a golden object with great speed. The man could not believe what he saw, because he knew exactly what it was. There was a blade with a maple leaf blade sticking out of the wall. After this, the head of the security was very frightened and did not know what to do. Fong grins at the man, flexing his fists in front of him. The rest of the guards were very angry with the guy's actions. They were ready to kill for their captain. The biggest guard calls the others to attack the guy in a crowd and avenge the head of the guard. All the guards attack one Fun with fists and knives. The head of the security with a wound on his face demands everyone to stop immediately and not touch Fun. The man adds that he did not allow him to act and attack the guy without his order. All the guards stopped and could not understand what the head of the guard meant. The man swallows the lump with difficulty. He was tense. Through force, the head of the security approaches Fun. Having come close enough, the man quietly clarifies whether Fun is the night judge. The guy waves it off, explaining that since the head of security understood this himself, he shouldn't have said it out loud. The man immediately bows to the guy and apologizes repeatedly. Fong, with a serious face, decides to turn to the head of security one last time. The guy notices that the man was able to recognize the maple blade. Having added that it means that the head of security works in this area not so little. The man, still bowing to Fun, explains that he has only recently been working at the Falling Snow Club. The head of security adds that he was transferred here only 2 years ago to help Miss C run the nightclub. Fun notes that it is not surprising to him that the head has only been here for 2 years, because he has not seen him here before. Fong turns away and heads towards Miss Lon. The guy adds finally that the maple knife should be given to Simon Snow with the message that he is back and ready to drink with him when the time comes. Approaching Miss Lon, the guy offers to leave the nightclub and take the girl home. Miss Lon agrees with the guy's proposal. Fong extends his hand to the girl. Fong takes the girl by the hand and leads her to the exit. The security was dissatisfied with the decision of the head of security. They all bared their teeth at this. One of the guards waved a knife at the guy, showing his respect to Fun. The guy calmly continued to head towards the exit. The guards parted and let the girl and Fun through. The head of the guard takes out a maple block from the wall. Sitting down at the table, he begins to examine it. The man was amazed at the quality of the knife. He sticks it into the table. The man swings a knife, testing how practical it is. Looking into his reflection of the knife, the man notices that the knife is so sharp that it is ready to pierce even a marble column. A huge guard approaches the head and tries to find out who the guy was. The man didn't understand why they had to let him go, because they couldn't explain it to Miss Shi. The head wonders if the security could still cope with him. The guard didn't know how to respond to this. The head adds that there is no need to worry, because he himself will report the incident to Miss Shi. The guards come up and ask what the secret of this broken knife is. The chapter explains that the knife itself is of no value, but its owner dealt with everyone who stood in his way. The men were perplexed about whom their leader was talking about. The head clarifies whether they still want to know his real name. It seems to the head that the men will not be able to believe what they heard, but he still decides to tell. The chapter adds that the owner of this maple knife had the most recognizable nickname in all of China. After all, his name is the Night Judge. An image of Fun in a suit with a maple blade appeared before the eyes of the men. One of the guards falls from fright. He asks again if the guy was the judge. The second guard couldn't believe what he was hearing. The head demands that everyone calm down and stop talking about it so loudly. Feng slowly leaves the establishment. The chapter adds that this is a name that cannot be spoken out loud. Once they reach the car, they get into a small red car. The guy adds with a laugh that it was he who should have brought the girl home. Feng apologizes that Miss Lan had to take him home. On the contrary, Miss Lan explains that she didn't have time to thank the guy, so this will be a reward for him. The girl asks if it is true that the guy just arrived at the university in Zhonghai. With a smile, the guy asks if he doesn't look like an ordinary student. The girl adds that she had previously been to a nightclub with snow falling and noticed that the guy did not behave like a student at all. The girl recalls the moment where Feng stands with his back to the angry crowd of guards without reacting to the danger. Feng clarifies what is wrong in the girl's opinion. The guy asks the girl again with a smile, without waiting for an answer. Miss Lan asks not to pay attention. She decides to clarify where exactly the guy lives. Looking out the window, the guy calls the orchid garden. The girl notices that she herself lives in that area near the orchid gardens. Miss Lan clarifies why she hasn't seen him in the area before. The guy in his thoughts did not understand why he so often stumbles upon all the coincidences in this world. Feng can't believe that his mentor also lives in the same area. The guy explains that he arrived just recently and that's why the girl didn't see him. Miss Lan waves it off with a smile. She continued to drive and watch the road. Miss Lan's car was followed by a black car for a long time. The girl adds that she has one more question for the guy. The girl notices that the guy has an accent, suggesting that Feng is not actually local. The guy doesn't quite understand what the girl is talking about. Miss Lan wonders how he knows Miss Shi personally then. The guy is trying to remember when he met Miss C. The guy adds that he has actually known Miss C for a long time, calling himself an old friend of the girl. Feng clarifies whether the girl believes his words. Miss Lan explains that she saw Miss Shi and she is quite cold towards other people. Feng sighs. He notes that at a time like this, few people can believe the truth. Feng notices that a strange black car is following them. The car was clearly visible in the side mirror. It drove all the way from the club. Feng silently continues to follow the pursuing car. The girl clarifies why the guy became silent, assuming that this is precisely because everything is a lie. The girl also notices a strange car behind them. In the side mirror, a black car was approaching at high speed, no longer just chasing. The girl thought the car behind them was strange. The black car crashes sharply into the back of Miss Lan's car. The girl was very scared and grabbed the steering wheel. She tries to find out from Fun who these people are. Feng puts his hand on the girl's shoulder and asks her to stop panicking. Feng asks the girl to press full throttle and drive as fast as possible. Miss Lan's car drives at high speed through an empty city. The black car catches up to them again and crashes into their rear. The girl was very scared. Miss Lan doesn't know what to do. The girl notes that she hit her foot hard after the last collision. Feng invites the girl to switch so that he can drive the car. Feng notices an abrasion on the woman's right leg. The guy explains that the girl injured her leg and should rest. Still driving, the girl does not understand what the guy is talking about. Feng gets into the driver's seat instead of the girl and continues driving without stopping. With a grin, Feng asks the girl to hold on tight. The guy presses full throttle and manages to break away a little. A man sitting in a black car demands that the driver catch up with them. The man demands that he run over them and not give them a chance. With a grin, the guy behind the wheel adds that he will do it without any problems. The speed of the black car has already begun to exceed 100 kilometers per hour. Once on the highway, the black car continued to chase Feng among other cars. The black car almost managed to catch up again, but Feng manages to swerve to the side. The man cannot sit in the back seat. He was embittered that the girl was leaving him. The girl, being on Feng's lap, asks to change seats, because it seems to her that this position is quite strange. Feng explains this by saying that they don't have time for this. Feng turns sharply to the right onto the stairs to get away from his pursuers. Feng explains this in such a way that they have no other choice. The girl was scared, she asked the guy to be more careful. Feng was confident. Miss Lan's car began to speed down the stairs. The girl was too scared and screamed. Feng held it and at the same time controlled the car. Feng manages to slow down just before descending the stairs. The girl closed her eyes in fear, she did not want to see all this horror. The same black car flies over Miss Lan's car. Losing control, the car overturns and begins to smoke. A man climbs out of the window and shouts at the couple, adding that next time he will catch them and punish them. With a grin, the guy asks if there will be a next time. The man doesn't understand what the guy is trying to do. Feng slowly drives up to the overturned car and begins to push it into the sea. The car goes underwater, but the man and his subordinate manage to get out. Having finished this, the couple continues to drive to the house in Miss Lan's car. Feng notices that they are almost there and are near their area. The guy takes the girl in his hand and carries her to his house. The girl explains that she can walk on her own, because the wound is not serious. Feng adds that even though the girl's leg hurt from the injury, she was still brave. The guy takes the girl to the bed and puts her to rest. Feng notices that the girl's house is quite large. It seems strange to him that the girl lives here alone. Miss Lan blushed deeply, she did not understand what the guy was trying to say. The guy finds underwear next to the sofa and asks what it is. The girl rushes to the guy in embarrassment, she didn't want him to see it. The girl knocks the guy over and he ends up on the sofa. The guy accidentally touches the girl. Miss Lan was very embarrassed by such a gesture. The guy does not immediately remove his hands from the girl's body. The guy notices that he is very pleased with this. Fen's nose began to bleed from embarrassment. The girl does not immediately understand what is happening, silently looking at the guy. At that very moment, Miss Lan screamed, calling the guy a pervert. She demanded that the guy take his hands off her. While trying to get off the guy, the girl accidentally hits the guy below the belt. This movement will seriously injure the guy, causing him to suffer greatly. The guy screamed loudly in severe pain throughout the whole house. Feng could not sit still and began to run around the room. The girl asks if the guy is okay. She didn't fully understand what happened to Feng. Continuing to rush around the room, the guy hits the wall and falls to the ground. The guy lies on the ground, explaining that he is fine. Feng loses consciousness. The girl was very worried that the guy was unconscious for so long after he fainted. The girl was very tired and began to yawn, unable to continue waiting for the guy. Feng jumps up sharply after waking up. He quickly examines the room. The guy notices that Miss Lan fell asleep on his stomach. In a dream, the girl called the guy a pervert. Her face was still red. The guy assumes that Miss Lan was very upset with him for his actions. The guy takes the girl in his arms and carries her to the girl's bedroom. Having laid the girl on the bed, the guy, without waiting, heads for the exit. After leaving the door, the guy slowly heads towards the exit. Miss Lan gets up and mentally says goodbye to Feng, calling him a bad guy. The guy under the night sky reaches the Ouyang family mansion. Feng enters home with a smile, wanting to take a shower and rest. The first thing the guy notices in the hall is Boja sitting. The girl was very unhappy, rubbing the back of his head. The guy explains why the girl doesn't sleep so late. The girl was unhappy with the guy's behavior, because he didn't keep track of time at all. Bo was worried about where the guy went after university. The guy comes closer, jokingly asking if the girl is worried about him. With her hands folded, the girl adds that the devil will take care of Feng. Boja takes a document from the table and throws it in the guy's face. She demands that the guy follow the 21 rules while living with the girl. The guy looks at the first page, where it is written that the rich and beautiful Ouyang lives with a bag of garbage. With a grin, the guy notes that life is a damn disappointment. The guy decides to read all 21 rules, which doesn't make him very happy. Feng decides to launch a protest, because it's unfair because every rule is against the guy himself. The girl rejects the protest. Bo explains this by saying that he is responsible for his territory and the whole problem lies in the guy himself. The girl mocks the guy's situation. The guy explains that in this case he will call his father-in-law and tell him everything that the girl is doing to him. Boja demands that the guy not dare call her father. The girl rushes to the guy, but Feng decides to take her in his arms. The girl did not expect such a turn. The guy turns the girl over and throws her on the sofa. Feng adds that his wife is too active and he is still not used to it. Bo demands that the guy let her go. The guy with a grin offers to let the girl go if he doesn't have to sign this contract. The girl with a reddened face declares that this will not happen. Boja wraps her legs around the guy so that he falls on top of her. The girl bites the guy on the cheek, causing him to start screaming that it hurts. The girl's bite marks remain on the boy's cheek. At this moment, the girl's father also enters the room. The man was amazed by what he saw. He suspects that the couple is doing something. The man notices that only a few days have passed, but progress is going too quickly. The couple didn't know how to explain themselves. Clearing his throat, the man turns around and heads towards the exit. The man says goodbye to the couple and apologizes for disturbing them. Boja asks to wait for his father, because he misunderstood everything. With a grin, the guy adds that they are still not officially married and there is nothing wrong with that. The girl throws the sheets of agreement again and demands that the guy sign. The girl stands on top of the guy and repeatedly demands that he sign everything if he wants to live in the same house with her. The guy decides to call his father-in-law again and explain that his daughter offers to sign the rules of residence. The girl comes closer and covers the guy's mouth, demanding that he shut up. The girl sits on the sofa and clarifies that she wants the guy in exchange for signing the contract. Before answering, the guy grins evilly, looking at the girl. Feng begins to reach out to the girl, demanding that she kiss him and then he will sign everything. The girl explains that he shouldn't even dream about kissing her. Feng tries again to call his father-in-law. Boja decides to agree and moves closer, her face turned a little red from embarrassment. The guy also reaches out to the girl, expecting a kiss. The girl was very angry at this demand. The girl tried to convince herself, because she had already taken advantage and she should not retreat so easily. The girl slowly approaches Fen's face, trying to kiss him. Boja and Fen kiss, which is what the guy demanded. The romantic kiss abruptly turns into pain, which Feng did not expect. The guy is trying to break away from the girl. Fen was in hellish pain. The girl looked into the guy's eyes. She was not going to let go of the impudent Fen. Feng asks to be released, admitting his guilt. Bo was ready to let the guy go only if he signed the contract. A minute later, the girl had a signed contract in her hands. The guy lay soullessly on the sofa. Bo at this time happily left the room. The man, assuming that enough time has passed, decides to enter the room. Fen was lying on the sofa with swollen lips. The man was frightened by such a sight. The man explains why the guy's face is so swollen. The guy explains this by saying that he was bitten by a puppy. The man understands what we are talking about and that apparently it was his daughter who bit Fen. The man laughs, remembering that Fen always had such a character and attitude towards everything. The man invites his daughter and Fen for an important conversation. Ouyang shows the plan of the new house. The man explains that this house is located in a prime location opposite Langtang Bay, adding that they can decorate this house in Chinese or European styles. Feng shakes his father-in-law's hand, adding that he will take care of his daughter. Boja was unhappy with this situation. She did not want to move with the guy. The man goes outside and says goodbye to the couple. Fen found it strange that his father-in-law had only come to discuss the decoration of the house and was already leaving. The man slowly opens his vehicle and tries to get into the car. An unknown person in a mask comes out of the bushes and attacks the man. The man is trying to find out who exactly is attacking him, but at that moment an unknown person puts a gun to the man's head. The unknown person greets him as Chairman Ouyang, noting that they have not seen each other for a long time. An unknown person takes a man hostage and puts a gun to his head. The girl was scared, tears welled up in Bo's eyes. The girl decides to help her father by quickly heading towards the attacker. An unknown man in a mask points a gun at the girl and demands to step back, otherwise he was ready to kill Boja. Ouyang demands that his daughter not come closer and not make hasty decisions. The girl silently returns to Fen. She didn't know what she should do. The girl takes Fen by the hand. She was very scared. Boja, with tears in her eyes, asks the guy to help her and do something. The unknown person adds that they are not planning to kill anyone. He was interested in money. The man adds that Boja should call the bank and withdraw 50 million for the ransom. The man presses the gun tightly to the back of Ouyang's head, which makes him add that it hurts. With an angry face, Ouyang asks the attacker not to hurt him. The unknown person begins to apologize, calling Ouyang the chairman. Fen grins at the sight, because this is the first time he has seen a robber be so polite. The girl was in a panic trying to find the right number to call. Fun puts his hand on the girl's shoulder, he asks her not to worry, because he will decide everything. With a serious face, Fun walked towards the robber. He was outraged that his father-in-law dared to use these fake robbers to trick him. The guy laughed when he saw what the robbers were wearing. The guy noticed that one of the attackers had new car keys. The second one was wearing the stockings he had just bought, even the tag was hanging. Fun also noticed that the weapons used by the unknown people were just fakes. The guy was very angry about the whole show. He clarified why his father-in-law was trying to fool him. The unknown people, without leaving the character, clarify what Fun is trying to do. They also remind him that they still have weapons and can kill Ouyang. But Boja asks the guy to be more careful. Ouyang also joins in and explains that the unknown people still have weapons and it is not safe. Without further ado, Fun goes on the attack, quickly approaching the unknown. The guy quickly deals with two robbers, causing them to fall unconscious. Ouyang does not have time to finish his remark that they can shoot, but Fun has already managed to scatter everyone. Ouyang looked around in confusion. Fun turns to the chairman, he is waiting for an explanation. Ouyang slowly turns his head towards the guy. Feng adds that this is the second time and it's starting to stress him out. Ouyang was very confused, sweat poured down his forehead. Feng adds that he is hopeful. After Fun's words, Ouyang looked at the guy in fear. Feng adds that he hopes there won't be a third time. His face was angry due to recent events. Ouyang silently falls to his knees. Fun turns around and heads into the house. Boja, seeing that her father is okay, rushes into his arms. The girl with tear-stained eyes was very frightened. She complained to her father about what had happened. The man noted that this time everything worked out thanks to Fun. In his thoughts, the man noticed that Fun was quite dangerous and should not be played with like that. The man hangs up after finishing his conversation with the police. The whole family sits at a common table. The man yawns from fatigue. Feng was in no mood to talk. The man asks his daughter to go upstairs and rest while he discusses recent events with Fun in private. The girl, without adding anything, gets up from the table and heads to her room. After waiting for the girl to go upstairs, the man decides to apologize to the guy for what happened today. The guy stops Ouyang. He explains that he is not interested in this, but he does not like being taken for a fool. The man, not wanting to lie, explains that although he organized this whole circus today, these two robbers are not his employees. Feng, not understanding what he is talking about, clarifies what the man means. Holding his chin, Ouyang adds that these two people are from another group chairman, Angel Foundation. The man outwitted them and staged the kidnapping as a show. With a grin, Feng declares that he apparently found the real reason why Fat Man Luo sent him to China. The man gets up from the table, adding that this is not so petty, because the situation in China is much more serious than he thinks. The doorbell rang, which distracted Ouyang and Fun. The man decides to check who came. Fun notices that the situation is becoming more and more interesting. An officer enters the mansion calling Ouyang uncle. She came to inquire about a recent incident. The girl explains that they called her from the police station and said that a kidnapping almost happened here, so Tan personally came to find out everything. The girl notices Fun sitting on the sofa. He looked at Tang calmly. The girl pointed her finger at the guy trying to understand what he was doing in the Ouyang mansion. The guy smiles and waves his hand at the officer. He was glad to meet the girl again. The girl demanded that the guy shut up. The guy adds that although he is glad to see the girl, if she calls him a liar again, she will sue Tan for slander. The girl was furious with the guy's presence. Ouyang asks the officer to calm down and resolve the situation. Poking her finger at Fun, the girl tries to understand why Ouyang is so calm and allows the guy to live in his mansion. The guy grins, trying to call Officer Tang. The guy adds that at the moment Boja is fiancé and he doesn't understand why he can't live here. The girl was extremely frightened, opening her mouth from such a sensation. The girl screams and asks if Bo is really his wife. Ouyang stands silently aside with the phone. The girl's hands were shaking with anger. She did not believe that Feng and Bo would be engaged. Tan turns around and adds that he will be against such a wedding. With a grin, the guy explains that he doesn't need the officer's permission, clarifying who the girl thinks she is. Without waiting for an answer, the guy accompanies Tan to the exit and takes her outside. The guy asks Tan to go home and go to bed. The girl is trying to contact the guy. Without listening to the girl, Feng closes the door in front of the officer. The girl was very angry with the guy's action, she couldn't stand him. The girl started screaming at the door and demanding that it be opened for her. The guy silently goes up to his room without any reaction. The guy goes into his room, his head was filled with all sorts of thoughts about today's events. The guy jumps on the bed and tries to fall asleep in a good mood. Fong notices that he is becoming more and more interesting. The guy notices that the Angel Foundation is a small organization. The guy didn't understand what other secrets this organization kept. Fong takes out a strange phone from his bag. The guy wants to contact his friend, because she is always working on some dirty technology at such a time. The guy remembers that it was this girl who made his phone look like this. The guy dials his girlfriend's number, after which the phone screen begins to display some image. It was the silhouette of his girlfriend. She greeted Fong. The girl noticed that the guy had not contacted her for a long time. She was interested in how things were going in Zhonghai. Fong decides to add that the girl is a good hacker and she herself knows what he is doing and what he is doing at the moment. The girl was embarrassed by the compliment. She asks the guy to tell him what exactly he wants to know. The girl clarifies whether he wants her to block the entire information network or mobilize the nearest group of fighters to support the guy. Covering his face, the guy asks the girl to just check out the Angel Foundation for him. The girl was upset by such a simple job. She wanted a difficult job, not just for 5 minutes. The girl asks to wait a few minutes and she will send all the information. A girl sitting behind 100 monitors begins to quickly type something on the keyboard. The girl notices that this is a rather interesting company that deals with genetic technologies. The girl adds that the company is also known as the legendary human genetic technology. Fong asks to explain to him in more detail what is at stake. The girl explains with an example that what the guy saw in films and TV series is what research is now trying to develop. The girl ends by saying that if they succeed, people will be able to extend their lives or make genetically modified warriors. The girl herself was surprised by this. The guy understands why he was sent to solve this problem, because all the roots begin from here. With a serious look, the guy notices that all the people in Zhonghai are looking at the Angel Foundation. The guy silently looks at the girl, continuing to think about all the options. The girl remembers what she wanted to ask Fun when they met. The girl clarifies why his house is headed by a woman. The girl is trying to find out if Fun is going back and forth with all sorts of women in Zhonghai. The guy was a little confused, not knowing what to say to this. With a grin, the guy adds that children should not interfere in the affairs of adults, especially in the middle of the night. The girl calls the guy bad and starts stomping on the floor. Not wanting to continue listening to this, the guy turns off the phone and puts it back in his bag. Rubbing his eyes, the guy calls the girl a little witch. Having undressed, Fun goes to bed and tries to sleep. Before he can fall asleep, Fun realizes that his back is very itchy. The guy does not immediately understand why his whole body itches so much, because in such a villa there cannot be mosquitoes or other pests. The guy decides to inspect the entire bed for anything. He notices the same powder scattered by Boja on the first day. The guy jumps out of bed because of the powder. He assumes that this is a prank on the same lady. The guy puts on his clothes and heads down the corridor. A guy enters the bathtub with the desire to wash off the scabies powder. While in the bathroom, the guy notices that he knows whose hands it was and that's why the war has just begun. Boja, unable to continue guessing what exactly Fun and her father discussed, decides to go to the guy and find out. The girl knocks on the bathroom door, asking if she can enter. The guy allows the girl to enter. The girl was embarrassed by the guy's appearance. The guy stood in front of Boja only in a towel. He looked at the girl with a grin. The girl immediately begins to cover her face. She does not understand why the guy was completely naked. The guy takes the girl by the hands, showing that he is not directly naked, but in a towel. The girl tries to step back. She clarifies what the guy is trying to do. Fun comes too close and leans towards the girl. Fun wonders why the girl came so late, assuming that the girl missed him. The girl blushed deeply, but she stated that she did not miss the guy at all. Unable to bear this any longer, Boja pushes the guy aside. The girl turns away in embarrassment because of the guy's appearance. The girl noticed that Fun looked quite good without clothes, because he had a toned and beautiful body. The girl sits on the edge of the guy's bed with folded hands. She was interested in what her father and Fun were discussing in the living room. The guy looks at the girl with a grin. He understood that Bo had completely forgotten about her trap. The guy laughed loudly. The girl looked at the guy in surprise. The girl clarifies whether her boyfriend is listening to her, because she asked the question clearly. The guy explains that her father asked to be more understanding in the future because of her bad character. The girl asked incredulously if her father had told him anything else. The guy adds that he also said that he will take care of the girl for the rest of her life. Fun decides to ask for a reward for telling Boja everything. A girl attacks a guy with a pillow. But at this moment Bo begins to feel something strange. The girl jumps out of bed and realizes that everything is starting to itch. The girl notices scabies powder in the place where she was sitting earlier. The guy offers to help the girl with her whole body itching. The girl calls the guy a fool. The guy laughs with Boja leaving. The girl leaves the room in confusion. Boja is taking a bath and is already thinking about how she will take revenge on the guy. The guy falls asleep quickly and sleeps until the morning. The next day in the morning someone knocks loudly and the girl demands that Fun get up and open the door. The guy quickly gets dressed and goes down the stairs. He didn't understand who could come to them so early. Opening the door, the guy notices Officer Tan on the threshold. Fun wonders why the girl came to them so early in the morning. The girl comes to the mansion, adding that it is none of his business. Boja comes down from the second floor and greets the girl. Tan explains the situation and that she is temporarily homeless and therefore asks to live in their house. Boja allows her to stay and greet her new neighbor. Tan asks if the guy will do anything rash. Fon was not very happy with this decision. He still decides to clarify whether the girl is going to live in their house or whether she is bullying him again. Tan, with a serious face, clarifies what the guy doesn't like about her living here. Fon silently waves back. Boja takes his sister by the hand and suggests that they ignore Fun. The girl turns her head and demands that Fun prepare breakfast for everyone. The guy indignantly clarifies why he has to cook breakfast. The girl reminds that Fun signed a contract, which states that the guy is obliged to cook breakfast and clean the house. Without listening to the guy, the girl takes Tan to her room. Fun holds the back of his head. He realizes that he has become a free cook and that he has really been deceived. Tan walks into the room with the suitcase. The girl clarifies whether Fun said that he is her father's cousin. The girls sit on the bed. Tan was worried that the guy called himself her sister's fiancé. Boja falls on the bed and explains that this all happened because of her father. The girl explains that this is all happening because Fun has a large number of shares in the company and they had to make this a fake marriage. The girl adds that her father is trying to deceive the guy and return all the shares of the company. Tan tries to sympathize with his sister. Boja asks to forget about the guy and talk about something else, because they haven't seen each other for about 2 months. Bo lies closer to Tan and asks if the girl has a boyfriend. Tan silently looks at the ceiling, not knowing what to answer. Tan turns Bo over and sits on top. She calls the girl a little pain who had the courage to ask this. The girl began to touch and tickle Boja, wanting to tease her. Bo began to twitch. She was very ticklish from the girl's hands. Boja adds that he is very worried about the girl's personal life. Tan adds that only the one who is able to defeat her can become her boyfriend. That's why all the handsome guys run away from her. Boja adds that girls should not be invincible, but soft and feminine. Tan stands on top holding Bo's chest. Bo adds that otherwise the girl will be left alone and become an old woman. Tan reminds that Bo lies now and is in her power. The girl decides to fix this and punish Bo for her behavior. With a smile, Boja declares that he is not afraid of the girl. Tan clings to Tan, saying he will show her. A tired Fun comes through the door and says that breakfast is ready. The guy looks in surprise. What girls do? He was amazed that Tang was on top of Boja in such a position. Tan, hearing the guy's voice, immediately throws the pillow after him. The girl takes another pillow. She was infuriated that the guy came in without knocking. The guy explains with a grin that he came to call the girls for breakfast, and not what they thought. Covering himself with a pillow, Fun noticed that Tang had a rather beautiful figure. Tang gets out of bed and looks angrily at Fun. The guy still continued to stand and stare at the girls, which also infuriated Boja. She orders the guy to leave her room, after which he abruptly gets up and throws another pillow at the door with the words, "Get out." The guy says goodbye to the girls with a grin, offering to continue without his presence. Walking out the door, the guy once again asks the girls not to stop and continue. In his thoughts, the guy noticed that life in the mansion would become even more colorful. The Angel Foundation office was located in the city center. One of the agents in the office clarifies whether everything worked out. The man is told on the phone that 3 agents were unable to complete the mission and were taken away by the police. The guy couldn't understand how his agents couldn't cope, because all of Ouyang's guards were on vacation and he was completely alone. The man on the phone reports that the unknown guy living in the Ouyang mansion was able to stop their entire mission all alone. The man adds that this guy only arrived in Zhonghai 3 days ago. Sitting down at his desk, the man orders his subordinates to find out everything about him, because now was the best time to carry out their plan. After hanging up the phone, the man understood that it would not be so easy with Ouyang. Leaning back in his chair, the man cites luck as he considers his next course of action. Gritting his teeth, the man notes that in a few days Ouyang's luck will no longer help. At this time, Fen silently has breakfast in the not very kind family circle. Tan glared at the guy because of the recent events. The girl did not take her eyes off Fen and chewed the prepared food furiously. The guy in his thoughts asked the girl to stop glaring at him and let him eat normally. Sighing, the guy didn't understand why he was getting all this punishment. Without finishing his breakfast, the guy gets up from the table. Fen adds that he is full and puts his plate in the sink. The girls continue to look at the leaving guy. Fen adds that they eat too slowly. Tan could not forgive the guy. She continued to mentally curse the guy for today. The girl now calls him not only a liar, but also a shameless pervert. Boja adds that Fen accidentally walked in and saw them, because this is not worth killing the guy for. Tan stands up abruptly with indignation that this was not just a look, but something more. Tang thought for a moment, suggesting that Boja had begun to protect Fen. Tan adds that Boja apparently fell in love with the guy. The girls screamed sharply that this couldn't happen, because no one liked him. Tang still resented Fen for taking advantage of her while she was distracted. Tan enthusiastically announced that she would teach the guy a lesson today. At this time, Fen himself went outside and decided to take a walk. Tan remembers the moment where the guy looked straight at her with lecherous eyes. The girl was still very excited about what the guy could see, when he entered the room. Kicking a stone, Fen walked down the street remembering Officer Tang. The guy noticed to himself that he really didn't have time to see anything. Sighing, the guy added that it was difficult for him to live in a love nest with an unmarried girl, because she was like a 3-kilowatt light bulb watching over him. Passing by Teacher Mo's house, the guy notices an unfamiliar car. A luxury red sports car was parked outside the house. Inside the car sat a man in an expensive suit with a huge bouquet of roses. The guy noted with a laugh that the man thought it was cool to start courting in the morning. Heading further, the guy hears the discontent of his teacher Lon. Fen turns around. It seems to him that this is more than just courtship. The girl is trying to understand what the man wants from her. After all, she had already refused him before. The girl explains that nothing can happen between them. With folded hands, the man declares that she has no right to decide what will happen between them, because her father lost the contract for the girl. The man comes closer and offers to terminate the contract of 5 million yuan, because this is the sum of all her father's debts. The girl looks around in confusion, not knowing what to do. The girl declares that she will pay the man the entire debt of 5 million, but demands that he stop pursuing her from now on. The man laughingly declares that this is a very large cost, because she is just a teacher. He was also not happy that some simple girl was refusing him. Miss Lon doesn't know how to respond to this. She is thinking about how to get out of that situation. Fen decides to come up and help Teacher Mo, calling her his wife. The guy stands in front of the man and reminds him that the woman has a sore leg and she shouldn't walk alone, because it hurts a lot. The guy takes the girl in his arms and lifts her up. Fen carries the girl home with the words that he will help her and carry Miss Lon to the bed. The man was very angry at this situation and shouted after him. Fen turns around and states that the man came to confess his girlfriend's love, but he didn't ask who he was. The man clarifies that Miss Lon is his girlfriend. Fen adds that the guy can't see. The man completely examines the guy and doesn't understand at all why he's so special. With mockery, the man points his finger at the guy. He calls him a rogue and demands Mo Lon explain himself. With a grin, Fen adds that he is amused by the man calling him a puppy. The man was very angry. He did not understand who Fen was to Mo Lon. With a deft movement of his hand, Fen cuts the man's pants, noting that although the guy is rich, he could afford normal pants. The man looks at his pants and notices a huge hole. The guy's underwear is visible through the slit, which makes him very embarrassed. Fen quickly puts his knife back into his sleeve. The man covers his nakedness. Fen scoffs at the Superman-themed underwear, calling it a good choice. The man, continuing to cover himself, points his finger at the couple. He assures that they will pay for such humiliation. The man with a grin also reminds her that he still has a contract for her life from the girl's father. Fan mockingly bombards the man with various provocations and explanations as to why he does not control Mo Lan's life. The man stands confused and silently looks at the leaving couple. Fan asks the girl not to get involved with dubious men in the future, because madness is contagious. The girl shyly agrees with the guy. The man looks out the window indignantly and watches the couple ascend to the second floor. A man threatens a couple that they will be killed. The man could no longer control his anger. The girl lived in the same huge mansion as the Ouyang family. Mo Lan was still lying in Fan's arms. The girl was confused. With a smile, Fan asks the girl not to look at him like that, because he himself will soon begin to feel shy. The girl blushes and sends the guy away, but also calls him too cute. The guy takes the girl by the hand and approaches the girl's face. The girl, confused, clarifies what Fan is trying to do to her. Without further ado, the guy kisses the girl, which greatly shocked her. In her thoughts, the girl did not understand how the guy dared to kiss her without permission. The girl grabs the guy by the shoulder and doesn't let him go. It was a fairly long kiss. The girl was happy with it. The window into the room where the couple was opened and the curtain began to flutter violently. Fan notes that it was awkward, noting that it was the girl's first kiss. The girl turns away. She wonders how much experience Fan had. In her thoughts, the girl could not believe that she had kissed a student. The girl thanked the guy for saving her, because she didn't know what would have happened to her if the guy hadn't arrived in time. Lan adds that Fan offended Xiao Yuan today and now the guy is in big trouble. The guy laughs and explains that all his friends call him a ladies' man. This made the girl laugh a lot, because she really partly fell in love with him. Lan is worried about Fan, because Xiao will look for opportunities to take revenge on the guy. The girl wouldn't want Fan to get into trouble because of her. Fan asks if the girl knows him and what family he is from. The girl adds that the guy's family is very rich. After all, in Zhonghai the city is divided into families and Xiao is no exception. The guy doesn't quite understand what Mo Lan was talking about just now. The girl explains that we are talking about 4 untouchable families in Zhonghai, and hell from the eastern part of the city belongs specifically to the Xiao family. The Western Tigers are Xiong Hu's gang. All of them were murderers and lawbreakers. The girl also mentions falling snow in the south, which is familiar to Fan. The Shiman family is in charge of this area, as well as the ancient ones in the north of the city. This is the Zhonghai ancient family. The guy notices that in 3 years in Zhonghai the city's power has changed a lot. Fan is also interested. Since Lan knows the Xiao family, he needed to find out what they were doing. The girl explains that the Xiao family is officially in the entertainment business in Shanghai. But if you learn more about this family, you can understand that they are actually secretly opening countless illegal casinos. Lan adds that there are so many underground casinos that they can be found anywhere in the city. Holding the guy's chin, everything now becomes clear. Fan remembers that Xiao had a sales contract because Lan's father was in debt. The girl asks what the guy with such a scary smile is thinking about. Stretching, Fan quickly stands up. He declares that the girl should not worry. With a grin, the guy declares that he does not have enough money and therefore he will go to the casino and earn some money. The girl was unhappy with the guy's decision. She was not ready to let him go to the casino. Fan asks the girl to calm down, because this is just an ordinary underground casino. Fan adds that it is normal for young people to go crazy from time to time. The girl stands her ground and doesn't even want to listen. Lan tries to forbid the guy from going to the casino. Fan comes closer and leans over. He asks if the girl has a good reason for him not to go to the casino. The girl was very embarrassed and blushed. She reminds him that she is his teacher and cannot allow the student to get on a slippery slope. Fan states that the girl won't be able to convince him as a teacher, but if she becomes his girlfriend, she could fix that. Turning away, the girl declares that no one would want to become his girlfriend. The girl began to think about alternative ideas. The doe suggests that if the guy plans to go to the casino, then he must take her with him. The guy yawns and reminds that the girl has problems with her leg. The girl gets up from the sofa and demonstratively makes several circles in front of Fan. The girl shows that she has no problems with her leg, thereby believing that the guy is obliged to take her with him. The doe stumbles and begins to fall, unable to stay on her feet. Fan manages to catch the girl so that she does not fall on the tile. The guy takes the girl in his arms and asks her not to worry, because he is able to go himself. Fun puts the girl on the bed and leaves her to rest. Fun says goodbye to Lon and asks him to have a good rest today while he goes about his business. The guy heads towards the exit, but the girl asks him to wait. Fun stops. The girl turns and addresses the guy. Fun clarifies what exactly the girl wants to tell him. The girl sheepishly explains that she hasn't showered or changed clothes since yesterday. The doe looks away and asks the guy to wait and help her with this. Fun confirms with a grin that he is always ready to help with taking a shower, and he is also ready to undress the girl. The girl angrily explains that she is only asking the guy to change the bandage. The guy looks at the girl upset. Fun did not expect this. Fun slowly removes the bandage from the girl's leg. After this, Fun applies new bandages to the girl's wound. Having finished, Fun heads towards the exit and says goodbye to Lon. After the guy left, the girl undresses and heads to the shower. The girl takes a bath and thinks about recent events. Lon amazed Fun. She did not understand who the guy really was. All the students gathered at the university for their first class. Fun also walked without any textbooks. Many students paid attention to Fun's appearance. The other half of the students were whispering, because Fun had become the new fiancé of the legendary Ouyang Bouzhou. The two hooligans said that Fun looked like a beggar and that someone like him should not be near Ouyang. The guys call the girl their goddess, not understanding what exactly Ouyang could see in such a pathetic guy. Gritting his teeth, Fan was outraged that the pathetic hooligans were shouting something after him. Members of the karate club quickly began to gather in front of the face. A crowd of guys surrounded Fun and stared at him. Fun stood calmly and waited for the guys to take the first step towards him. The eldest among all the karatekas clarifies whether Fun is the one. Fun silently holds the grux in his pocket and does not react to them in any way. Many students gathered to watch the spectacle. Everyone understood that the karate club would punish the guy. One of those watching noted that it would be spectacular how the guy would be beaten. Fun slowly takes out a cigarette and lights it up. Fun confirms that he is Zifeng, but he does not understand what they need from him. The eldest one mockingly introduces himself as the vice president of the karate club and explains that he came here for one thing. Fun calmly clarifies why he contacted him. The vice gets too close and points his finger at Fun. He adds that he crossed their path and is the fiancé of the girl their president likes, therefore, they will punish the guy for such recklessness. Two karatekas raise their hands, preparing to fight back. The guys still surrounded Fun and laughed at his pitiful situation. Fun, with a cigarette in his mouth, decides to clarify what exactly they want to tell him. This shocked everyone present, because they were planning to fight him. The vice president, not knowing what to say to such a stupid question, adds that he was not going to say anything. In this case, Fun asks to move out of his way, because right now he has no class and no time to quarrel with a bunch of suckers. Vice clarifies that this is all the guy wanted to say, because they came here to fight. The rest of the students support the idea and invite Fun to fight for his love and not leave in disgrace. One of the members of the karate club asks if they will let Fun go so easily. This didn't suit Vice at all and he decides to confront the guy himself. Vice blocks the road with his body, saying that he won't let him pass without a fight. Unperturbed, Fun calls the entire karate club pathetic idiots. Vice begins to point his finger at Fun and accuse him of weakness. Fun silently looks at the speaking vice president of the karate club. Also silently, the guy grabs the vice's finger with one hand. Then, with the same slight movement of the hand, he breaks his finger. The guy in tears takes his hand and screams in pain. Without waiting, when the guy comes to his senses, Fun kicks the vice aside. Fun adds that this was a small lesson for him and that he should not associate with it, because next time it will be much worse. The vice is slowly surrounded by all the members of the karate club. They were worried about the guy's condition. Vice stands up with difficulty and orders the others to finish Fun off immediately. All the karatekas suddenly attack one Fun. Fun throws away his cigarette to teach another lesson. Sighing, the guy adds sarcastically that he is very scared at the sight of such a crowd. Fun encourages them to attack, calling them suckers. Vice was amazed at how Fun handled each of his guys. The entire karate club was defeated and they all lay under Fun's feet. Fun continues walking towards the university building. Along the way, stopping to light another cigarette, Fun calls all the members of the karate club pathetic scum. Everyone present was amazed at such strength and endurance. Vice tried to crawl away from Fun in fear. Fun smirks at his poor martial arts skills. The entire crowd could not come to their senses for a long time and understand how Fun managed to do this. Everyone began to whisper among themselves, noticing Fun's strength. Some blamed the karate club and their weakness, others noted that Fun was actually too strong. A girl standing among the crowd noticed that such a strong guy should be in the school's strength ranking. The girl with blue hair was wondering what she had missed in the few days she had been away from school. Looking at Fun leaving, the girl wanted to get such a master into her club of ancient martial arts. Unable to crawl further, the vice asked Fun not to approach him. The vice president reminded that this is a university and you can't joke like that here. With a grin, Fun looks at the frightened guy. Fun notices a strange girl among the crowd, but does not dare to approach. The girl turns first and asks to wait for Fun. The girl asks to leave the karate club alone this time. Others present recognize the girl, because it was Miss C. The girl doesn't go to school very often, but everyone knew her very well. All the students were amazed that the two goddesses were somehow related to Fun. Fun, with a cigarette in his mouth, looks at the girl, calling her she. The guy realizes that although she looks similar, this girl is a little older, assuming that she is from their family. The girl slowly approaches Fun, straightening her luxurious hair. The girl extends her hand in greeting. Miss She greets Fun and states her full name, Shiman Paiu Shui, introducing herself as the head of the Ancient Martial Arts Club. The guy notices to himself that the girl is really Shiman from the Falling Snow Shiman family. Fun kindly extends his hand and greets the girl. The girl tries to squeeze the guy's hand, but she completely fails. The guy notices with a grin that the girl has smooth and soft hands and doesn't look like someone who practices martial arts. The people watching all this were amazed at such impudence, because it was a direct insult to the goddess. Some suggested that the guy was trying to seduce the queen right at the university. The crowd, looking at this long handshake, believed that after this he would definitely become a dead man. Fun silently smiles at the girl with a cigarette in her mouth. Miss C was very annoyed by this, especially that the guy tried to pester her. The girl also could not accept that the guy was judging her by just a handshake. With a serious face, Fun also noted that he did not know how wild the girl was, wanting to continue playing with her. After this, there was a battle of views, and a storm formed around them. To the rest of the crowd, it seemed that Fun and Miss She had fallen in love at first sight, which is why they stood together for so long. The girls noticed that this was the same legendary love at first sight. The guys silently continued to watch this. The guy was already starting to yawn because the girl didn't let go of his hand. She still tried to show her strength in the handshake, but everything was even. The girl understands that she did everything she could, but the guy was too frivolous in his expression. Fun nevertheless decided to clarify how exactly the girl with such soft and smooth hands trained. The guy lets go of the girl's hand, waiting for an answer. The girl notices that Fun is truly an expert in her field, which amuses her. Fun decides to smell the girl's hand while also complimenting Miss She. The girl nevertheless decides to invite Fun to her ancient martial arts club, because they are one of the 3 best clubs at the university. Many were amazed that the girl invited an inconspicuous guy to such a popular ancient arts club. The head of the karate club comes out to see what is happening. He believes that if Fun joins the ancient arts club, they won't be able to do anything about it. People in the crowd noticed that Fong had found a fairly strong ally for himself. One of the members of the karate club reports this to the vice president, because they cannot allow him to join the arts club. Vice asks the guy to shut up, reminding him what the guy is talking about now. Fun turns to Miss She with the question of whether this will be beneficial for him, because they are the ones who need it. The girl asks what kind of benefit Fun is talking about now. One guy from the crowd clarifies that Fun wants to gain something from joining the ancient martial arts club. People couldn't believe that the guy was looking for some kind of benefit in this, because everything would be available to him and he wouldn't even have to go to university. Fun, holding the back of his head, asks him to forget about this, because he refuses such an offer due to constraint in future actions. Fun says goodbye to Miss She, calling her a beauty, adding that if they meet in the future, it will be fate. Without waiting for an answer, Fun slowly walks away towards the building. The girl was not happy with this situation, because no one had ever dared to confront her before. Regular sparrings are taking place in the karate club hall. The head of the club sat in his usual place with a report from his vice. Arriving at the hall, the vice explains that the guy is too dangerous and they should teach him a lesson, because Fun considers their club pathetic. The head was amazed that Fun managed alone against 8 people, the guy notices that he was expecting a small, pimply coon. Now the guy understands why Zinming couldn't do anything to this guy. The head sits silently, wondering what their next step should be. The head calls his vice for a conversation. The guy whispers something to his vice, causing him to nod approvingly. The guy thinks this is a really good next move. He noticed the genius of his chapter. The head explains with folded hands that even though they are a karate ball, they still sometimes have to use their intelligence. The head still couldn't believe that Fun was able to defeat 8 of his men. In the next step, the guy wonders whether Fun will be able to cope. At this moment, walking down the street, Fun sneezes loudly. Wiping his nose, Fun assumes that one of his girls remembers him. Walking down the street, Fun begins to stretch. Several girls pass by the guy, which greatly amuses him. Fan notes that this is the best university he has been to. The guy looks at the girls with peripheral vision. The guy adds that there are a lot of hot girls at the university. Clearing his throat, Fun changes and calls it a youthful atmosphere. At this moment, someone starts calling the guy's phone. Fun doesn't understand who can call him, because the guy hasn't seen this number before. Fun continued to walk through the park. The guy picks up the phone and clarifies who called him. Through tears, the girl clarified whether it was Fong, because 3 years had already passed and the guy had returned. The girl could not contain her joy that the guy had finally returned home. The guy, trying to console the girl, asks her not to cry, because he really has returned. The girl is trying to find out where exactly the guy is now so that she can come and meet him. The guy does not immediately dare to say where exactly he is. But still, Fun explains that he is in the Chinese Academy of Arts. The girl adds that she will be there soon and hangs up. The girl calls her butler to prepare the car for departure. The guy didn't understand why the girl needed him so urgently. Fun noticed that nothing had changed in so much time, because the girl had always been impatient. At this time, a girl runs next to the guy. Fun was looking at his phone at this time. The girl crashes into the guy and falls to the ground in front of him. The girl angrily shouts at the guy. Fun stands still in bewilderment. The girl turns to the guy. She is perplexed why the guy is not looking where he is going. After all, she was trying to get around him. Fun woke up in a moment and realized what he should do first. Sparks appeared in the guy's eyes, and steam came out of his nose. Fun extends his hand and asks to forgive him for such a misunderstanding. Fun apologizes again and offers to make amends over a cup of coffee, calling the girl a beauty. The girl looks away and asks to forget about this misunderstanding. The girl tries to leave, adding that she is not at all interested in such things. At this moment, a guy runs by calling the girl Feifei. The guy, short of breath, calls the girl again, waiting for an answer. The guy asks him to wait and stop running so fast. The girl, covering her face, calls the guy an idiot, because she is tired of him always running after her. The guy looks at the girl with loving eyes, calling her name. Fun, with his hands in his pockets, silently looks at the guy. The guy was not at all happy with Fun's presence, so he immediately asks the girl to explain herself. The girl observes that the guy began to argue with someone and decided to take advantage of this. The girl noticed that this was a good chance, because the guy understood everything completely wrong. Fun tries to understand what the guy is trying to ask him. The girl slowly approaches Fun. The girl hugs Fun's hand, calling him her boyfriend. Fun looks at Feifei questioningly. The girl begins to press her body tightly against Fun's hand. Then she laid her head on her shoulder. Fun was fine with this. Fun wonders what exactly the unknown person wanted from him. The guy with the flame in his eyes understood who Fun was to the girl. The girl explains to the guy that she already has a boyfriend and this is Fun. The girl asks Teacher Van to stop pestering her in the future. Feifei adds that otherwise her boyfriend will get angry and there will be a serious conversation. Fun understands that he will have to be another defender today. Teacher Wang still couldn't believe what he heard. He didn't recognize Fun as the same guy. The guy looked into Feng's eyes angrily. Fun did not understand what the guy was trying to achieve. Fun assumes that he has the face of a ladies' man, since there are no other reasons why girls are constantly chasing him. Van indignantly declares that the girl has no right to have a boyfriend at the university. Pointing his finger at Fun, he notes that especially such a beggar. Fun was furious after being accused of being a beggar. Fun decides to respond by adding that it is none of his business whether Feifei wants a boyfriend or not. The guy was also annoyed that Teacher Wang was putting a lot of pressure on the girl. The guy also points out that they are at a university where everyone is already an adult, so no one is prohibited from having a boyfriend or girlfriend. Teacher Wang states that the girl is in the acting department and will become a big celebrity in the future, so she should not have a relationship or an intimate life, because this is the main rule. The man adds that he planned to consider Fei Fei for the main role of his series, but alas, because of what he has now seen, he will have to look for other options. The girl asks if what the man is saying is true. The man declares with a smile that this is the purest truth and his manner of behavior is very suitable for the future main character, noting that this role could be the launching point for her career. Teacher Wang, pointing his finger at Fun, demands that the girl leave the guy and then he will give up the role. With a grin, the guy noted that if the girl breaks up with Fun, she will be able to get Fei Fei into her hands.